My daughter asked for some spruced up ramen for dinner or for lunch, so we're gonna spruce up some ramen. So first things first, a little bit of red onion, and chop that up. And then from my garden, have some purslane that's growing over by my corn, so I'm just gonna chop that up as well. I like purslane in small quantities. I'm not a huge fan of it all by itself or in large quantities. And in this case, I'm going to cut it up pretty small because I don't want it to overpower anything. So I'm just going to chop it up just to give us a little bit of green, a little bit of those vitamins. And then also from my garden, have some green onions. These are commonly called Egyptian walking onions. Although they're not from Egypt, they're also referred to as Welsh onions, but the reason they're called Welsh onions is because Welsh was the Anglo-Saxon word for foreign, and these onions came from Rome, and so they're not Egyptian or Welsh, and in fact they're not Roman. They actually came probably from India. Also from my garden, we're going to do just about a third of a zucchini. I love zucchinis. People talk about how they get too many of them and you can't eat them all. It's never been a problem for me. I love them. Again, we're going to cut these up kind of small because the idea is I want them to be able to just put it on a spoon and eat it with the ramen and not have to eat it by itself.
Did you like it?
Now, I want you to bear in mind, I am not trying to make authentic ramen. I am not Japanese, and neither is anyone in my household. I just want it to be yummy. Here we have some carrots. Chop those up. Got to chop those up pretty small because carrots take forever to cook. And if you don't want them super crunchy, you got to make them pretty small so they cook quickly. Because everything else that I'm putting in here is going to cook within a couple of minutes. But the carrots are going to take longer, so I'm actually going to put them in first with the onions. And while I'm softening up the onions, I'm going to also be letting the carrots get a little bit extra time to cook. And then I've got some turnips from my garden. I like cooked turnips. I cut them up, and they sort of cook almost like a potato. All the spiciness goes out of them when you cook them. So I'm cutting them up into pieces about that big. Now, I also love them just to eat, but we have a lot of them because my garden's doing well, and not everybody loves them raw. So I'm gonna chop them up and put them in here. Again, just a little bit more vitamins, and they're pretty palatable when they're cooked. And finally, also from my garden, some chives. These are garlic chives. They're my favorite kind of chive. I lied, that wasn't finally. I also have two Szechuan pepper tree leaves. They're kind of spicy, but not like super spicy. I haven't tried them in ramen before. I'm going to try it. They have almost a citrusy taste to them. Let's take a look at what we got here. Okay, so I've got carrots, turnips, my Szechuan pepper leaves, chives, green onions, zucchini, purslane, and a sliced up red onion. So we're gonna go ahead and take that over to the stove. Okay, so I've got a little bit of oil in the bottom of my pan here. I want to start with the carrots. Like I said, we're going to give those a second to cook first because they're harder than the rest of the things. They take longer to cook. And then we're going to do just the red onions. I don't grow the onions or carrots. I've grown carrots. I'm just very bad at it. I'm also going to put a little bit of garlic in here. You have to be careful with the garlic You don't want to put it directly in the oil by itself. It tends to burn and it loses all the good flavor when it burns. I'll go a little heavy on the garlic, especially when I'm using the pre-popped stuff. All right, now I'm going to go with the turnips and the zucchini. I'm going to give those just a second because I want them to kind of get some of those flavors from the onion and the garlic, but I don't want them to really cook yet. I kind of just want them to soak in that flavor kind of get it through the surface before I dilute it with a lot of water. You can see in here, that is coming together really nice. Okay, once you start getting that really good smell from the onion and the garlic, but before your garlic burns, you're going to add your water in. I'm going to use the ramen packets, but I like to spice it up a little bit as well. The kids like it best when I do the ramen packets. And I like to make sure I put the ramen packets in before it boils so that the flavor evenly distributes. I like to add a lot of soy sauce into it as well. And I put in more soy sauce than feels comfortable, just a little bit more than what. When your body says stop, you put a little bit more in. And then I like to put in just a dash of sesame. Again, this is pure sesame oil. This is not authentic ramen at all. It just tastes good. Okay, so now the water's boiling. Nice heavy boil. We're gonna add the rest of the vegetables in. I'm gonna put the ramen right in that as well. And that'll cook for like 2 to 3 minutes until it falls apart and the ramen's done. So now the noodles are all apart and they're done. I'm going to turn the heat very far down because my girls asked for poached eggs, and if the water is boiling really hard, the eggs just break apart. You end up with more like an egg drop soup. So you want it to go down to more like a simmer. And then there's fancy ways to do this. I don't do it the fancy ways. I just dump the eggs in. And then you give it just a little swirl to get them down in there. The idea with these is you want them cooked, but not hard. They're better if they're the yolks are still kind of jammy. Missed. There you go.
Yep, that's a Cora, all right.
What do you think, Cora?